Friday, December 8th, 2017. Sewing machine heaven. I got a text today, or a message from someone on one of my videos asking if I could show how to set the height of the needle bar on my Consew 206 RB1. And I had to take it to the I had to take my machine to the pro to have this done once, and he showed me how to do it. So I'm going to show you real quick. I made a video the first time about this, but this is the book. This is page 14. And note, these measurements are approximate standard accordingly, following the adjustments, timing between the hook and the needle. So timing between a hook and a needle is more important. And if you want to look at the diagram here, you can pause this and read through it if you want on your, trying to hold that as still as I can. So that's the bottom of page 14 in the manual. And then here's the top of page 15. And then there's the diagrams and photos, figures of bottom of 15. So you guys had a tripod, but anyways, this is approximate. You can make yourself a little paper gauge. That's what I did. I went over to my ruler and I laid that or taped that on there, and then put a razor blade on your 22 and a little bit over, and then pull the paper up, and you'll have a little 22 millimeter gauge there you can use. Now the other thing is, you can't really use that gauge with the feed dog and the feed dog plate off, and you're going to need the feed dog plates off so you can examine your needle and your hook coming around. Let's get this focused in here a little better. There we go. Now at bottom dead center, or at dead bottom, and of course I got more dust and stuff cooked around there already. Let me see if I can get that out of there. All right, at bottom dead center, all right, that's backwards. This is the needle coming down. This is right about there is going to be bottom dead center. Your hook is going to be down there at about the 2. You can just see the hook coming up there. See right there's the hook. That's the hook. Hi, hook. All right, so as this comes up from bottom dead center, the needle's going to come up 2 millimeters. Now, the center of that needle shaft and the center of the circle, the radius of the hook, are going to bisect. They're going to meet. Here, let's see if we can get a little better angle on here. And the hardest thing is to show this. It's going to be really hard to see this with your naked eye too. I usually use a magnifying glass. There, that's a little better. Okay, so you can see right about there is bottom dead bottom for the needle. The needle's going to come up 2 millimeters, and right as that hook intersects with the center of the ditch, right there, that is where you want your hook to be. And it can touch the needle without deflection. I have about probably 1/4 of a millimeter in there, right there. And that's okay too. Now your needle's going to continue to come up, but your thread is already hooked at that point. Your hook already has the thread captured, and right there your thread's going to be pulled around there and start to in fact, I can probably do that. Hang on. Alright, so I put a thread in there now in the needle. Alright, so here's the hook coming around. That's the up stitch. Okay, now the needle's coming down, 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 down. There's the thread on the needle. The needle's going to come all the way down to the bottom, right about there. Now as it starts up, it's going to go 1, 2 millimeters right there. That's where you want that hook, right in the middle of the ditch, grabbing that thread, and then as it comes around, it's going to pull the thread down. Of course, I don't have any tension or anything on that thread, so it's going to just flop over there. But normally your thread would start traveling down from your uptake lever up here. All this thread would be grabbed down around your bobbin because the hook got a hold of it, and it would continue around to make your stitch. So about 22.3 millimeters from the deck at the highest point to just above the hole is where the bar should be set approximately. And if I put mine on there, and of course I don't have the feed dog on here, so I can't really show. You have to put the feed dog plate in there to measure from, make sure it's down pretty tight. And if I put my gauge piece of paper in there that I made, try to slide that in there, it looks like it's kind of low. My needle is at top dead center. It looks like it needs to go up more, but it doesn't, because the final adjustment is, again, adjusted to bottom dead center, up 1, up 2 millimeter, right there to the center of that needle. That's where you want your hook. So if your hook isn't bisecting with that right there, you're going to want to loosen the 2 screws up on your hook underneath here. There's your hook, and one of these screws is in a ditch. Now that you can barely see the ditch inside the little, I can't even see what I'm doing here. Inside the, right in there, you can see when that comes around, there's a little notch that screw lays in. That's the one you don't want to remove all the way. You want to leave that slightly tensioned so it doesn't spin around on your shaft. That's going to keep you pretty close. And then you're going to want to tighten that screw when you get it adjusted right to where you think it goes. You know, set that screw just a little bit so you can kind of wiggle it on the shaft, and then rotate it around. Check the top, make sure. You're going to have to up and down with your machine a couple times to get it. And then check and make sure that it's right there. That's where you want it indexed. And then go back down and tighten up your second screw first, and then tighten down your ditch screw. And that should do it for you. And then, like I said, you're going to want to probably adjust your bobbin release finger there too. And it doesn't show a measure. Oh, yeah, 0.8 millimeters, so a little under a millimeter for that. So I hope that helps. And yeah, if not, just pause on the page when I show that to you and go back and read it, and it'll make sense eventually. But the most important thing is not so much the needle bar height. I mean, that is important. If it's off like a 1/4 of an inch, yeah, it's going to make a big difference. And it's usually going to get shoved up from hammering and hammering and hammering, trying to get through a thick fabric. That's how I got mine screwed up. And so I hope that helps you. If not, message me back and I'll try to explain it better or get another reference point. Thanks. Out.